This is a video on how to put together a chromatic harmonica. This is a very special harmonica because it has been air tightened, which was sanding the top with stone and then lapping the mouthpiece into the plastic to make the space for the slide a little tighter. Okay, let's get started. We do have here some slide oil, a teeny rag, a screwdriver, German screwdriver with the Phillips. And our first task is going to be to position the reed plates and the comb in the right orientation. And there's some hints that kind of make it easier. The stamping number here, hopefully you can see that, the SCX. That would be pretty much usually on the outside of the harmonica. And the same thing here. This one has stamping on this side as well, CSCX, and that's going to be on the outside. A couple of other hints about orientation. You'll notice that the reeds are longer at this end and get shorter, longer and shorter. And of course, so does the comb. And there's another thing too that'll help you, which one's the top and which one's the bottom. The holes for the screws are bigger on one than they are on the other, and these are threaded. So kind of the first thing that we're going to do before we put this comb together is we're going to put the spring, the slide spring in, and of course that goes in loaded. What do I mean by loaded? Okay, well, you know that the slide spring here, that metal piece, okay, it's going to be pushing out, so it goes into the slot, okay, but it's actually not just laying in there, it's actually loaded. And by loading, what I mean is that the spring is kind of semi-compressed a little bit. So what I do is I come in here and I'm going to grab a hold of this spring. I'm going to put on some safety glasses because if that spring pops out while I'm doing this, it could come up and hit my eye. So I'm going to wear a pair of safety glasses. So my first task is to get this spring kind of loaded in here. And the way to do this is you come and hold it with your kind of thumb and finger in this orientation. Then you make sure your end is coming through here. And then what you do is you kind of come here and load it into position like this around the round thing, and kind of come here and bring it around. It's not so easy to do with curved these things are. So I come in here like this, and there we go. That is correct. So now the spring can push out, but it's, over this round thing, and it's loaded onto that edge. That is, it can be fumbly a little bit when you go to do this. Now you want to be careful to put the upper one on top as soon as you can so it can't escape. And here's the lower one. Note also that there's rounded edges on an SCX for where these suckers go. So I kind of line it up like that. Then I'm going to remove these, and my first task is going to be to kind of, you know, lock everything into place properly. With a screw. So I just kind of want to keep the parts together right now and verify my orientation. So my point is that you have to get a screw into these reed plates as fast as you can to kind of lock them into position so it can't open up and that spring can't open up. So with two of them in place now, it's not going anywhere. And I can go ahead and just gently place these where they belong, like this. Like this. These are longer screws and they're kind of oval at the top. So that's kind of how these suckers go into position like this. And then I have this one left over. And why that one is not going in, I do not know. And I guess this one goes here like this then. And those go like that. Okay. That was the original one. These are just going in very, very gently right now. This was obviously not a hole for a screw. And these are just going in very, very gently, but I am guiding it with my finger to make sure that it is you know, guided a little bit away from breast savers, for instance. And they're in place now. Okay. And the next thing is tensioning. You know, I tend to come in and tension at the center first, but I gotta tell you, I really don't make these real tight. I make them snug, snug enough to hold the two pieces together, but I'm not taking the risk of stripping the threads, because after all, it would be easy to do that. These are silver-plated brass, I believe, and they will strip very, very easily. So we have this and this and this. So now the reed plates are on. You want to just inspect, make sure everything's looking pretty good. Your next thing to do, at least the way I do it, is I'm going to go ahead and put the mouthpiece on. And I could do that after I have the covers on, but I'm doing it before. And so this is my slide oil. It only goes on the part that interfaces with the metal, and not very much, just a small amount of this slide oil. And then I also use slide oil here on the underside of this. Hetman's light bearing linkage, like this. Okay, and that's ready. And so these are the screws that will Now you got to get these bumpers on, and these are things that it's real easy for people to lose. And on a Suzuki, they're snug enough where they're not really going to fall off as you manipulate the screws a little bit, whereas on some other models they will slide off. So now we have the screws in from this back side with the bumpers in place, okay? And you'll note that the mouthpiece has a section here with a grind out part, and that will match up with up here where the slide spring is. And now I switch gears, and I'm going to use an edge here, and there's a reason, because when I like to have this under just the smallest amount of pressure when I put it together like this, so that the parts can all mate properly like that. And the bumper now can seat properly without hitting the slides. That's why I'm doing it this way. And you'll see I'm up against an edge, aren't I? And I just come here and here and kind of snug, not too tight. Then you want to look at the far end and make sure that your orientation is proper. It is, it is. And then we come here. These are the remaining screws. The next thing that we do is to put these stanchions in, and there's an inside and an outside. The outside is smoother, so that goes like this, and this goes like this. Again, there's an inside and an outside of these. I'm going to take and put that there and there like that. Then what I do, one cover has numbers. It goes on the top. The other one does not. It goes on the bottom, and you'll note that I was careful to put the stanchions under the cover. Then I come and align them kind of generally with my hand, and I'll put one male, or that's a female screw, and then this is the male one. And in order to get them lined up, I can let the other one drop down a little bit with my fingertip and can get it to mate and start. I've got it. So again, this is the female part. It goes on the underside like this. You press down with your thumb and forefinger to hold it into place. If they're not aligning, you simply drop your index finger down a little bit. Okay, now we have a very loosely fit mouthpiece, but you want to be careful. You don't really want the mouthpiece up here, so I kind of push down with my hand at this point and come in, and now I'll give it my final tightening. Same on this side, so I want a little bit of a gap along the top so it does not push the mouthpiece up, nor do you want it to flop off the bottom either, though. That's another area. As advanced an instrument this is, it does have a fairly... and then when you're all done, you can, come in and adjust these screws so they have the absolute perfect tightness. This was an airtight harp, so it's kind of operates a little bit differently than the normal harp. It'll grip a little more with those. Then I come here with the cloth, wipe the instrument off, and this completes the construction of a chromatic harmonica.